Hi, everybody. This is a special shot from the Point podcast, and I'm Tommy C., and I've been kind enough to be joined with YouTuber Lior, all otherwise known as attorney Lior Lesser. And we're going to go over some of the more recent controversy about Phil DeFranco and BetterHelp. Lior, thank you very much. Welcome to the program. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me.
I have a lot of questions. A lot of times when controversies develop on YouTube and other social media platforms, there definitely seems to be a sort of gang mentality, a shut them down mentality, light the torches, burn the witches, and worry about the truth later. And I'm seeing much the same situation with this. Even simply by saying on my last podcast on this channel, hey, let's wait till all the facts are in. I was roundly criticized for that, as well as other people that said it. I've noticed. How are you gauging how influencers are handling this particular controversy?
Well, in general, anything that creates a sense of drama tends to get you views, so it tends to feed on itself. And once the story just started, and in the beginning, people were just pointing to some obscure stuff in the terms of service. That just started the ball rolling, because then everybody's looking for a little bit of detail they can find from Reddit or some other online board or some complaint that's never been verified. So it kind of feeds on itself, and since more and more people are talking about it and writing comments, more videos are being done on it, it's kind of a snowball effect on a topic that I would have thought, frankly, would not have garnered any real interest out there.
Yeah, that's the thing that confused me. In your opinion, and this is something would normally put at the end of a video, is BetterHelp committing any kind of legal acts of fraud?
No, I mean, definitely not based on what's publicly available, right? I mean, we can only go based on what we see here, but there's no indication whatsoever that they're doing anything illegal. And when I'm saying illegal, anything that would merit, the government going after them for anything criminal like fraud or anything like that. You have to understand that every business in front of you is going to have some issue, some what I would call lack of compliance. They didn't do this exactly right, and this is not optimal. Or if you opened up a restaurant, you're going to have some problem with the health department. Does not mean that you're a fraud, just means that you've got issues you got to clear up. So there are issues here, but nothing that would amount to fraud or anything like that. I mean, it's definitely not from anything publicly available.
Even though it's not fraud, is it possible that BetterHelp would see some kind of legal action? Certainly, incompetence can lead to lawsuits. Do you see anything either civilly or criminally that they will be facing in the future?
Yes, because in this area, which is, as far as we can call it, marketing law. That's an area where the government does not really look at you, but they react to complaint. So it usually starts on a state level, where your consumers complain to the Better Business Bureau. Enough people, the Better Business Bureau get enough complaint to send it up to the state attorney general, who eventually forwards it up to the federal government, the FTC. So if something has enough people angry, enough people complain about, whether on the state level or on the federal level, those, and they're effectively politicians, even though they're attorneys, they react to it. So if this gets enough momentum and enough people complain, not just us talking online, but people actually filing complaint as consumers, then there's a problem, and they'll start an investigation on it.
Okay. Do you think that BetterHelp will be facing lawsuits? No, not at all.
No, generally what we see right now is, I mean, the FTC in Washington, basically about a year ago, became much more activist. Generally, they were waiting always for complaint, but about a year ago, they started investigating, and they are focused on YouTubers and Instagrammers.
Really?
So they are running investigations. About a year ago, they sent out a bunch of letters to some of the top Instagrammers, especially some YouTubers that thought are misleading people through their sponsorship, and they got warning letters. And then about 6 months later, they sent another round of letters to them. So they're looking at it, I think, more of as a mass group. They're looking at sponsorship. So it's possible that BetterHelp would get sucked into an existing investigation
I
into
gotcha.
Instagrammers and YouTubers, but I don't. This is not something that typically politicians care enough about. It's not big enough of an issue. From thousands of people are getting scammed out of their money, and we have to go because we have to protect. That's something that they would go after. This does not really amount to it.
Okay, so you don't, unless, and I'm going to make this clear, unless there's a pre-existing investigation about YouTubers or situations like this, it'd be very unlikely if BetterHelp was charged with any kind of FTC violation, correct?
Right, because they're not going to get charged with anything unless actual consumers who have paid money started complaining, and there's enough of them to merit the start of an investigation.
And at this stage, you don't think it's there. YouTubers. But I have to go.
Washington is looking.
What's that? Say that again.
No, there are investigations into YouTubers and Instagrammers. It's been ongoing for over a year, looking at I wouldn't call it fraud, but misleading sponsorship. Whether or not you just claiming your relationship, that you're making money, stuff like that. This was a big issue with Instagrammers who post pictures, you showing your new shirt in a store and then showing a link, not explaining that you're getting paid for it, stuff like that. So the government is looking, so it's possible to get sucked into it, but right now they're more focused on the YouTubers and Instagrammers than the retailers who may or may not have had some less than truthful statements on their websites.
Okay. That leads me to Phil DeFranco. I'm going to give you some of the same questions. And the fact that I guess is he committing any act of fraud by partnering with BetterHelp?
No, I mean, generally you can partner with whoever you want to. Absent knowledge that something is illegal, he's not going to be drawn into it. The issue of all the different YouTubers who've been involved is not about them being part of a fraud, if there was one, which I don't think there is at all. It's more about whether or not they provided proper disclosures.
Okay.
It's been over the past year. I mean, a lot of YouTubers realize that if you tell a story, you can sell more, right? Sure. So rather than saying my video is sponsored by X, Y, and Z, you're saying, I've been a consumer for years and years. You start telling a story about your usage, it sells better. So to the extent to which any of those are less than truthful, that's an issue. It's an issue for BetterHelp because as an advertiser, it's an issue for the YouTubers. And it's an issue for somebody like Philip DeFranco, who has effectively acted as this broker for other ones. There have been a case through the federal government, through the FTC, where they charged that kind of an agent broker with the misdeeds of the sponsors, of the YouTubers themselves. So to the extent any of the people that he referred and he collected money off of them are doing something less than truthful, inventing a story, lying about their relationship or how much they know about the company, misleading consumer, he would be drawn into the same because he has an obligation effectively to watch. He's required by a law to effectively set the rules, tell all these people exactly this is how you're supposed to behave, this is not, and he's supposed to come to watch over them. There's a legal requirement to be this kind of an agent. Phil
DeFranco is being roundly criticized for not being forthcoming with his relationship with BetterHelp. From what you've seen so far, has he violated any FTC violation as we speak? And has he met the legal requirement to be? Has he been forthcoming enough to meet the legal requirement, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think that every single time every video that I've seen that he mentioned it, and it's been lots of videos that he mentioned it, it was always clear that they are a sponsor and they're paying for it.
Is there a difference between being a sponsor and being a partner?
To the extent if you are a partner and you are not just getting paid for the sponsorship, but making money off of them, there is general disclosure requirements.
Okay.
So yes, if this was his company, right? He's a partner in it. He's got 5% of it. Sure. A little disclosure at the bottom of the page would not suffice because you would have to disclose the fact that you have a financial relationship and what it is. So the law does require you to have more extensive. I mean, you're supposed to disclose that relationship. So if you are a partner, you're supposed to do that. From the videos, it's definitely unclear whether or not he is. He's saying he's not a partner, but rather just effectively he brokered relationship.
He brokered
but
relationship.
It wasn't a, yeah,
And
I mean,
is that legal?
So,
is that legal to broker a relationship? The thing is, they keep on. I keep on hearing Phil being criticized of not being forthcoming, but it's. I checked Rogue Rocket, which is the company that did broker this, and Phil's face has been on the front of that website since last year, since 2017. Would that be enough Would that be enough? To say that he has committed his obligation to be forthcoming? After all, his picture's on the cover of Rogue Rocket. When you sign up, it says Rogue Rocket. I don't know if that counts for somebody like Boogie, who said he was completely unaware, but he also had his an intermediary make that particular deal. Maybe that third party made that deal without Boogie's knowledge. So again, is it with Rogue Rocket? You said it was unclear, or with Rogue Rocket, is he being clear enough to meet FTC standards?
Well, the way FTC standards work is they're about 5 years behind the line. They wait until they see something they don't like, and then they change the rules on you. It happened a year and a half ago with PewDiePie, who got drawn into some drama in the promotion of video games online. He followed the rules exactly as written by the FTC, yet the FTC then changed the rules, saying, well, we need a lot more disclosure and stuff, and suddenly he wasn't in compliance.
He wasn't within the rules.
Exactly. So that's the nature of Washington. They will look to say, no, I don't like this. They will change the rules. Currently, the way it is today, the written rules is, he's not required, if let's say Boogie is talking about it, he's not required, Phil DeFranco is not required to say, I have a relationship to make money off of Boogie's referrals. So it doesn't pass on to him. He's just required to provide disclosures as to when he speaks. So the video that he makes, the blog post that he posts, he has to disclose the relationship, at which point he would need to, if there's something more than,
so he doesn't. So if he brokers between Shane Dawson and Boogie, what you're saying, he does not have to disclose that his own channel.
No, not at all.
Okay,
the law does,
because that was one of the bigger criticisms. Not at all. The funny thing is, like I said, Rogue Rocket has got his picture in. He says hi there, and it's got a picture of Phil DeFranco. I don't know how much more you can disclose that he's part of Rogue Rocket.
He's not obligated. You're not obligated to discuss every relationship you have in the world. It's only when you're talking, about, you talking about a particular camera, you better say that you've got to deal with Canon. At that point, you can have a lot of relationship with lots of other YouTubers that you make money off of them, but you're not required to
release absolutely everything.
Unless Philip DeFranco then says, look, if Philip DeFranco is on a video and he says, you know what? I was watching Boogie. I was moved by his plight, and I appreciate him turning to, let's say, BetterHelp. At that point, that is required to do it. He's required to say because the point is whether it's whether or not a statement made by Philip DeFranco is questionable, but he doesn't have to disclose about statements made by Boogie. Like I said, but it becomes more complicated because we've had a case like this about a year ago where the FTC said, yes, right. So
See, are we talking about CSGO gambling? CSGO gambling, because that was the case.
CSGO gambling. It was not. It was about the video promotion of a video game, which I forgot. CSGO gambling in itself. Yeah. So CSGO gambling, the YouTubers lied. They weren't really felt.
They said they were playing there, and they were actually owners. They were actually owners of the company.
You cannot claim to have them as a sponsor when you are the owner. So yes, if Phil DeFranco had some ownership stake, something greater than simply saying that he is being sponsored by them, then he was required to do it.
Okay.
But as an agent of all those YouTubers, again, his obligation is more supervisory because he can be liable for their misdeeds. So he's required to watch over what they're doing, tell them when they're doing something wrong, and set the rules. That's part of his own requirement.
Okay.
Agents can be drawn into it. So,
but that's a far cry that would happen between DeFranco and whoever he brokered this deal with.
Yeah,
I would think.
I don't really see a big issue here.
Okay,
at all.
That's just it. Because I do think, because that I remember. This podcast, when I kind of got dragged into this world, the first thing we did was on CS:GO gambling. Admittedly, I knew nothing about the FTC or not even all that much about YouTube at that point. And that was a pretty big scandal. And strangely enough, those guys got off with a slap on the wrist. They really didn't, I heard about them doing time. The FTC, I mean, the arrangements or the fine was made private at the end of the day, almost a year and a half, 2 years after it happened.
I had a client literally that because he called a consumer that was on a do not call list, the FTC fined him close to $14 million and killed the business. So yes, why did these people get off with basically nothing at all is questionable, but the FTC chose not to go after them.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's anything? Because not everything that is criminal or not criminal is necessarily a good business. Do you think there's anything disingenuous about BetterHelp? Are they doing something, let's say, shady but not necessarily criminal?
It doesn't feel that way when you read it. I understand.
It looks too stupid. That's it looks too dumb to be criminal.
Exactly. Yeah. It just looks like they were cutting corners. They were cutting and pasting off of other sites. There are so many of this kind of platform. They did not invent this idea. I probably worked on a dozen different ideas just like this. Not with psychiatrists, but with doctors, nurses, dog walkers, I think babysitters. Everybody has this idea that they can create a platform where they'll collect a percentage off of you transacting with some service provider or whatever.
Gotcha.
So there's lots of opportunities for them to go out there and copy and paste, and that's what it feels like it.
Yeah.
So they created a terrible document that everybody's looking at. It may or may not reflect what the underlying business actually is. But doesn't look in and of itself. It doesn't look criminal.
It doesn't look criminal.
If I wanted to turn this into a criminal, I would make this perfect, right? You'd want there to be. I mean, criminals actually are a lot smarter than that.
Yeah.
They make sure to cross their T's and dot their I's on those kind of stuff. They're not looking for the easy way for them to get nabbed here. This doesn't feel like it. Just feels like a terrible job.
It just feels like incompetence. That's the impression that I got when I read it. It was just this horrible business model. And now you mentioned before that cutting corners, and you said, I was surprised because you're a lawyer. You said they were probably trying to get out of hiring a lawyer. Does a lawyer charge a great fees for writing something like a TOS or something like that? Is it?
Again, it depends on how much experience, but for this kind of a project, like a startup project, you're probably looking from $1,500 to $2,500 because it's more than the TOS. The guy that has experience will go through it because you can write terms of service, but if they are in conflict with what the website said, the marketing side of it says, then the terms of service are meaningless. So you're paying $1,500, $2,500 to get that somebody to actually review it, write it, but then also make sure that everything is in compliance. So most people, when they're starting, for them, they have to spend money on developers, on server costs. The last thing they want to do is spend money on an attorney, and it's very common. And I can understand. I don't really have an issue with that. But if they probably spent an hour with an attorney showing them what they're doing and somebody with experience could have pointed some of the problems out, and they could have fixed some of the issues. Even if they don't hire an attorney to do the whole thing from beginning to end.
So, in other words, they're trying not to get ripped off, but by trying to avoid that, they ended up. Actually, they probably should have spent the 15 or 20 G's. They wouldn't be in this position more than likely.
Oh, just $1,500, not $15,000. So much cheaper than that.
No, much. Jesus. I mean, that's companies for you. This isn't so much a legal question, unless it is, or a legal statement. So you correct me if I'm wrong here. One of the more insane statements that I've heard that is flying around multiple YouTubers is that this particular company is using a mental illness as a means to make money, therefore taking advantage of the mentally ill. I have trouble buying into that because it doesn't seem any worse than, I don't know, the grocery store using the fact that I'm hungry because they're taking advantage of the fact that I'm hungry, that I need food, whereas this company is trying to get people mental help, or at least that's what they claim they're doing. Is there anything criminal about like supposedly taking advantage of the mentally ill. I don't know how counselors are supposed to be paid. I don't know how administrators are supposed to be paid unless there's some kind of charge. And from what I understand, this isn't the only company like this. Michael Phelps has helped with a service just like this. This is not the only service. Is there anything criminal about? I mean, it's a loaded thing to say. Taking advantage of the mentally ill. I mean, do you see anything?
Okay, so
there?
I mean, see, the taking advantage part is the loaded part. So the question is, there's lots of businesses designed to make money off of problems. You know, I have a client who's building an app to help people to test people for sexual diseases. You know, is that taking advantage? Well, no. I mean, if you run your obligation is like in any other business to run it in a forthright way, and not to lie, not to cheat them out of their money, not to defraud them. But there's nothing legal or just even moral, I think immoral, about the issue of making money off of existing problems. Just the opposite. They're trying to provide a solution. You can see that as they're providing solution to the market, because I've spoken with a bunch of people that felt that they needed some mental help, and they don't like the traditional idea of going to an office and sitting there. They're comfortable in front of their computer. It feels in many ways more anonymous. So you can see the value of a service like that.
Sure. But I mean, they're not taking advantage of the mentally ill any other than a doctor's taking advantage of somebody who has the flu. It just doesn't make any sense about that. It seems just like a loaded accusation dreamed up by a 18-year-old freshman college wannabe Marxist. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever to me. It's just something I want to address. Here's another thing. This isn't legal either, but you mentioned the Better Business Bureau before. I'm going to watch this video was made by Memology 101, and we actually kind of have to thank them to getting the ball rolling. But they did make criminal accusations in this particular video. I clipped those, but this isn't a criminal accusation. I just wanted to know what your experience with the Better Business Bureau is. Here it is.
And actually, also while we're on this note, a popular narrative that has moved forward is that just everyone from the get-go, they were like, BetterHelp's a scam. You look online, it's just people complaining. And of course, like with any service, there are going to be bad reviews. In some pockets of the internet, there could just be overwhelmingly bad reviews. But if you search, and I searched again this morning, if you search BetterHelp reviews, first one that pops up has 287 reviews, 4.2 rating. eCounseling.com, 90 reviews, 3.9 rating. Trustpilot, 7.3. Additionally, on the Better Business Bureau website, it has a customer rating of 4.4 stars, and it actually has a Better Business Bureau rating of A+.
The BBB cannot be used as a legitimate marker in this situation, as it is a private organization that gives one the option to pay to remove bad reviews.
Have you heard anything about that? I had my news team on this all day.
No.
And they could not find anything of the sort.
I've never heard of that. In fact, that would be an illegal activity.
Yeah.
There are currently laws going through Washington, and there have been cases you are absolutely not allowed to play with the reviews. So that would be a huge. If that was true, that will be a massive explosive news, because that's an illegal activity. You're not allowed to pay to deal with. You're not allowed to do that at all.
Well, they did give no example where that's the case, and they do also don't address that they're not the only. Like most of the reviews that I saw are if it's 6 stars, they have 5. If they have 5 stars, they have 4.5. There are bad reviews, but they're not overwhelming as advertised from what I personally can see. Like I said, 4.5 if there's a 5-star, 5 if there's a 6, and the BBB can't be used. I just found that unbelievable. And they do in this video, they gave no example where you can remove the review or if you can remove a bad review.
Exactly. So, I mean, you have to take it with a grain of salt. First of all, the Better Business Bureau, their ranking people, their grades of how about your business has nothing to do with whether or not people are complaining or love your stuff. Their ranking is based on how responsive the companies are to complaints, right? So if I'm complaining about something, they want as quick a response as possible. That's what the Better Business Bureau wants. They know that there's always problems and there's always unhappy consumers.
Sure.
So they're not concerned about that. It's all about, are you responding to people? Are you resolving the issues? And that's what the A+. So from what the Better Business Bureau, and I don't know how many instances there were. There could be one, and that's great, or it could be 100. Obviously more means more. It means that the company is responsive. I mean, it deals with issues that have been reported to the BBB. That's it. That's pretty much. But
the only controversy I could dig up on the Better Business Bureau is they were accused of not helping members that didn't pay dues as much as that members that did pay dues. In other words, if you had your business on there, but you weren't paying into the Better Business Bureau dues, they were getting your problems last. That's the only thing I could find. And a lot of people do think this is a government agency. It's not. But this is, growing up in the United States, this is a very well-respected organization, a consumer organization, minus, a few trip-ups, I would imagine.
I agree, but as in, look, I mean, this kind of a model of, you are giving more. If you look at what's the restaurant review app?
Yelp, which is constantly being abused.
Exactly. So Yelp is the same situation. You pay them for advertisement. You're going to be able to deal with bad reviews. Maybe you're able to respond to them. They handle it differently on the back end as well. They're going to review everybody, but sometimes reviews are since they also give points to how you respond to it. If you're a customer of Yelp, you're going to get better response rate.
Looking at all these reviews being between
here.
I'm sorry. I apologize for interrupting. Sorry. Finish that again. I thought you were.
No. So same situation here. I'm not somebody that cares that much about the rating by the BBB because it's so specific to just response. Even if you're responding to terrible reviews, that's still a positive. So that doesn't mean too much to me as a consumer. More organization that I would trust, and I don't know the other ones that he's mentioned.
Yeah, well, I got to be honest with you. I didn't find. I didn't check Yelp. In fairness, that'd be interesting to see. Right. But I've seen that one manipulated.
Right.
Oh God, I mean, I've seen YouTubers just give out a Yelp name and bang, that you got a bad rating overnight. But I'm starting to wonder. Certainly, there are bad reviews. But with all these sites, including the Better Business Bureau giving them, 4.5 out of 5, is it possible that the bad reviews are being blown up and the majority are good reviews, even with the lousy terms of service?
That's what it sounds to me. Again, I don't know any of those other review sites, whether or not they're legitimate review site or paid for review site. Maybe if you pay them, they show the positive and not the negative. So I don't really know who they are. It's when I looked at BetterHelp's website, they show a lot of reviews. Every single one I saw was positive. I don't know if they are hiding the negative or only posting it. There is an issue there, whether or not you're truthful in your own reviews. But it seems to me that if you look at the whole of it, generally people have been satisfied with the service. Every business as it grows is going to have people that don't like it. That cannot be the basis for something to be called a scam or illegal or fraud because people aren't happy with it.
Well, is it fair to call it a shady business? Is it fair to call, because I've heard that it was called, and maybe you could. Are you familiar with a type of business called multi-level marketing, MLMs?
Yeah.
Does this qualify as an MLM?
No.
No,
not at all.
So this doesn't qualify as an MLM. Here's the thing: what I understand about MLMs, they're legal pyramid schemes. That's what I've been told.
Right.
But they're essentially legal. And in fairness, a company that I'm familiar with, like Mary Kay, which is $1 billion business, you certainly and it was founded in 1962, and it is a register. I guess you don't register as an MLM, do you?
No, it's not one of those regulated.
Okay, and this particular company, BetterHelp, does not fall under MLM, but they are. I mean, I would not recommend to anybody to go to any kind of MLM, legal or otherwise.
Right.
So I just want to drive this home. You don't necessarily you think this is incompetence and stupidity. You don't particularly think this is shady. This is not an MLM. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's nothing illegal about MLMs and multi-level marketing. Obviously, a pyramid scheme is the difference being whether or not there's a real product being sold, and or is it or the only way to make money is by recruiting others. The very fact that here they are providing a service.
Okay.
It seems that on the whole, based on review, most people are happy with it. If,
yeah, it does. I mean, from what I can see, most people are happy with it. I haven't seen any evidence to say anything otherwise. Other than
so the fact that you have this kind of what would look to people like MLM type of it's not really an MLM. The fact that you have somebody acting as an agent for other influencer does not make this an MLM. They would have to be an entire system where everybody's being engaged to bring in other
people. They're not doing that. Is it fair to call this a service like Uber, except for counseling?
Well, that's what they're hoping.
That's what they're trying to do. Uber for counseling. How terrible then! They're taking advantage of the mentally ill. How terrible! Taking advantage of people who need a ride. I mean, that seems so ridiculous. Okay,
but that's why Uber makes no money whatsoever. It's being financed by its private investors because ultimately, and it's losing money every time you take a ride because it's not profitable. These kind of platforms. Especially when Uber has a lot of opportunities, obviously, because they use their platform down to generate more money. But this kind of a platform in and of itself, they tend to make very, very little money here. I have to give props, obviously, the guy. You don't have to like what they did, but the very fact that they were able to have such a reach into the YouTuber influence shows that they were thinking about the idea that they need massive amount of traffic in order to make any real money. Sure. So from a business perspective, I'll give him some props for it. But other than that, I mean, this is not generally a model that I've seen ever work, really. You mentioned that in your video, that these models in general, where you refer to other counselors on other cabs or they either generate very little money or none at all, or not enough to continue to survive. Wouldn't that in itself kind of say this isn't a scam? It's just a piss poor business model. The fact that these tend not to make money. It would definitely give you an indication here, because ultimately they're not collecting it. When you pay $65, they're collecting probably, I mean, my guess is probably around 3% or something like that as a transaction fee, and everything else goes to the counselors. They don't make money because the counselors are being forced to provide service at a cutthroat rate. It's less than 50% of what they otherwise make. That means that generally the people that gravitate toward these platforms are at the low end of the barrel, people that are willing to do a lot of work for far less. So it doesn't bring in usually the top quite. You're not going to get a good counselor in general unless you're ridiculously lucky with a business model like this, is what you're saying. Exactly, because if you can make twice or three times the amount, why would you go to a platform like this where you are forced to compete against other people based on reviews and people are complaining or liking it or not? It does not generate the kind of system that really drives up the percentage payments to the platform. At the end of the day, again, it's the platform's interest to bring as many people on board as possible, but they're making so little, and all these providers are competing based on an extremely low price and based on reviews, which is hard. It sounds like the world's worst scam. Okay, I want to get into the. There are better ways to steal money. It's just a stupid idea to begin with. All right, this is where they're actually accused of, and we have about 7 minutes to go. This is Memology 101. There's guys that got it kicked off, and there is a part of me that did want this to come to light. I don't want to. The thing is about if this business model worked. Right. I don't see anything wrong with it. They're getting people where they need to go. It just doesn't seem to work that well. And then the outrage culture of YouTube just could essentially eat it alive, and that's what I think. What we're thinking, the torches are lit, the witches beware, and I think that's exactly what we're seeing now. But this part of they actually accuse him of a crime. We did glance over it, but I wanted to get more specific later. Here we go. Organization that gives one the option. Let me go back. Reviews. All right, here we go. Here is where Philip DeFranco confesses where the investment from the Patreon money went.
make it so that I could
All right, I got to give you a little background on this. Phil DeFranco started something in April of 2017, April or March, where he started something called DeFranco Elite. He initially advertised it as he was crowdfunding for a news network. About 9 months later, a YouTuber named Cabos made a video on him saying, "Where's the news network?" That forced him on the H3 podcast to say that DeFranco Elite was now a service. So he did change. This is where I've been on Phil, to show that I have no bias towards Phil. I'm the guy that called him the I put in a title one time that he was the Nigerian prince of YouTube. So this in particular, or with a question mark, it was satirical. No, but this part does concern me. So he changed the definition of it when he was on the H3 podcast, and he has just almost changed it a third time after this, where he says that he was using this particular Patreon money, which goes directly to Rogue Rocket, to sort of broker deals with guys like Boogie and Shane Dawson. If you're asking for money on Patreon for a news network, can you then in turn do something like this and not produce the news network, or at least to my knowledge, it doesn't seem to be what was initially advertised.
Well, then so you're getting into things like potentially false advertisements. You know, people pay you for a specific service that you're not providing it, and then you're using it for something else. So yes,
he clearly admits
I don't know
here
anything about this,
that this is crowdfunded. The fact that he set the relationship with BetterHelp, he clearly admits this. I'm going to play the rest of it for you, but I want to get the whole thing right off the bat, so you hear it all.
Here is where Philip DeFranco confesses where the investment from the Patreon money went.
Make it so that I could also connect them with other YouTubers like an ad agency would. We connect some content creators, we set them up, we handle their daily numbers, we make sure they get paid. If they have any questions or need any help, we can be there for them. And then on the other end, BetterHelp, if they have any questions regarding, do you think this person would be good or something along those lines, we can advise. And for all of this, like an ad agency would, we take a percentage of the sponsorship.
Yes, but DeFranco Elite was funded by your viewers on Patreon to build a news network, not an ad agency.
That is 100% true from what I've seen.
Hold on a second. Okay. Where did he say that he used the money from?
Let's go back again.
From his Elite.
Yeah, from DeFranco Elite. Here, we'll play it again.
He confesses where the investment from the Patreon money went.
Make it so that I could also connect them with other YouTubers like an ad agency would. We connect some content creators, we set them up, we handle their daily numbers, we make sure they get paid. If they have any questions or need any help, we can be there for them. And then on the other end, BetterHelp, if they have any questions regarding, do you think this person would be good or something along those lines, we can advise. And for all of this, like an ad agency would, we take a percentage of the sponsorship.
Yeah, I didn't see him say it here.
He's not saying it. This is he's assuming that money that DeFranco raised through DeFranco Elite, and again, I don't know anything about this, is being used to somehow fund the operation of the agency here. And he's not saying anything about this. It's purely speculation.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish this because I do think he says it. I may have forgotten. Okay. Remember, this is not my video. Let's play this out. See what he says.
Yes, but DeFranco Elite was funded by your viewers on Patreon to build a news network, not an ad agency.
And as far as why we would want to operate as kind of a small third-party ad agency, is that's been a small goal of our company. As I mentioned before, we had this sponsor that was just seen as a winner on all fronts. And at the same time, I knew of several creators that were having a hard time finding sponsors for their fantastic content. And so it just seemed like a no-brainer that we would take this win on all fronts, connect those people, we'd handle everything for them, and then like an agency does, we take a small percentage for the connection and the upkeep.
At first, DeFranco promoted BetterHelp.
I seem to remember him saying this very clearly. Okay. If you don't mind, I'm going to a little patience here. I'm going to go to the original video, in fairness to Memeology, because I am trying to be fair to everybody in DeFranco, but I clearly remember him stating, and I may have the wrong cut, but it'd be very easy to solve. Let's see, Phil DeFranco. I see, but I want to get this right, and I think we're going to go to the original videos. This may have been a bad cut in my part because I was a bit. I was in a. I got a 2-year-old. That's not that one. No. Phil DeFranco did nothing wrong.
It's the one on top there. Go on the top. Top of the page.
The debacle?
Go up. No, keep going up. Up. It's the first video. That's it. Let's talk about BetterHelp.
Yeah, that's a bit better. That's the whole thing. But I think it was captured in this particular video. The one. Oh, here. No, that's not it either. the one where he's supposedly cheating on his wife. All right, let's go to that. I wish I knew. I really wish I knew what the whereabouts it was. Any help from the guys in the chat will be really appreciated about where he said this, especially you, Speedy Bird, if you can pop that in, because let's see.
Scheduled Philip DeFranco show. I apologize. Little box for a second. Listen to me talk. Immediately suspended my sponsorships with them, moving with their team in person, see their policies and procedures in. Right. Accusations ranging from Philip DeFranco actually runs BetterHelp. Oh, that's the smoking gun. That is the evidence that Philip DeFranco, he is invested. He is part of it. He is the mastermind. No, and I'll explain this situation a little deeper. So at the beginning of this, I had my original sponsorship with BetterHelp, and it was just a win on all fronts for us. It was a sponsor that I personally used, thus a sponsor I personally trusted. It also brought in, of course, it's a sponsor, it brought in money, and unlike pretty much any sponsorship before.
I want to see if I can get it. Can I get a time on this one, folks? I wish I could bring, what's his name in there? Because it's just too much to go through to make this a reasonable time. Let me check Zhivago. Zhivago, you got a time on that? You guys said that we'd go back to it. Any of my news team, please get on this. Give me a rough estimate where the time is. I'm going to continue to run this video, and we will correct that because I'm going to make sure this all gets right. All right, let's back a little.
Here and like an agency does, we take a small percentage for the connection and the upkeep.
At first, DeFranco promoted BetterHelp as just another sponsored creator, hiding the true nature of their relationship, which he reveals he is a partner and not just an affiliate. Hiding this relationship while providing testimonials himself and sponsoring the service after the fact goes against FTC guidelines.
Is that true?
The disclosure has to be correct. So if you have ownership interest in it, that's part of that has to be disclosed. It's not going to be enough. If that's the case, I listened to what DeFranco said. He uses some interesting words, but it doesn't sound to me like because he's actually saying that he's not a partner. He has no ownership stake in it. So unless he's lying, there is no real issue here.
Hiding a relationship by providing testimonies himself has sponsored and goes to FTC
after
guidelines.
After the fact, goes against FTC guidelines.
And
for the connection. And
so so if he is a partner, he's got a problem here.
Yes. If he's a partner, but you're saying they're a sponsor, that's a different situation. That's exactly what you had with your CSGO. I mean, CSGO was a much bigger issue there because they were promoting gambling.
They're a partner.
But yeah.
But when the way you saw the video, 645, I'm getting, the way you saw the video, he was saying he was a sponsor, not a partner, because a partner means he has a stake. And
right. He mentioned that they were looking into partnering with them. It's again, he uses some interesting words that he didn't clarify, but I didn't know. It doesn't sound to me like an admission of anything.
Okay, it started about 6 minutes of DeFranco's video.
Point through our experience, it was a good product and sponsor with a good purpose, and it was well received. And so, following this success, the positive reaction, I negotiated a deal with BetterHelp to make it so that I could also connect them with other YouTubers like an ad agency would. We connect some content creators, we set them up, we handle their daily numbers, we make sure they get paid. If they have any questions or need any help, we can be there for them. And then on the other end, BetterHelp, if they have any questions regarding, do you think this person would be good or something along those lines, we can advise. And for all of this, like an ad agency would, we take a percentage of the sponsorship. And as far as why we would want to operate as kind of a small third-party ad agency is that's been a small goal of our company. As I mentioned before, we had this sponsor that was just seen as a winner on all fronts. And at the same time, I knew of several creators that were having a hard time finding sponsors for their fantastic content. And so it just seemed like a no-brainer that we would take this win on all fronts, connect those people, we'd handle everything for them, and then like an agency does, we take a small percentage for the connection and the upkeep. And this part dives even deeper into our long-term business model. It's been a side goal of mine to have an in-house sales team, have essentially a small agency. I mean, everything we do is crowd-funded through DeFranco Elite. It is self-funded. We go out there and we make deals.
Okay.
What the hell was that?
Yeah, he said everything we do is crowd-funded through DeFranco Elite. DeFranco Elite was initially a means to start a news network. Now he appears to be saying that DeFranco Elite is now an ad agency. I think. What did you take from that?
Yeah, okay. So I'll take what I said back here because, yeah, you did find something here. I don't know what he means by it. If in fact this is what you're saying is correct, that's what he meant by it. That he has turned DeFranco Elite into a crowdfunding for any and all ventures that he comes up with.
Whoa. Okay.
Then that was not what he disclosed. Then there is a problem, and people should be provided with an opportunity to get their money back, because that's not what they were financing.
Okay.
They're not trying to finance his ventures. They were trying to pay for a service that he was offering in return to them.
Now,
So,
I'd heard from somebody prior to this, because this did come up. We were very, my buddy and mine, we were really, this is the one question that we were going to lay, that we did not know what you were going to say. We had no clue what you were going to say, and it actually was, we were both wrong. We thought you were going to gloss over this. But the thing is, what somebody had mentioned to me prior to this was that he used language when he launched, or he may have used language when he launched, where, the crux of it was a news network, but he may have said a couple sentences in there that would have, and it's something else too. Is there any way to phrase that? Or if he made the video and I guess left something behind and said, and then we can grow into this, would he be on proper legal grounds? Because the video still exists, DeFranco Elite, it still exists.
But at the end of the day, this is not an issue where there is an agency saying, you promised this, you gave this, this is illegal.
Nobody's going to go after
This is
him.
about the consumers or the people that gave money to fund this. If they are asking basically for a refund and they're not getting it back, and they felt that they were misled, it's up to them to file
the complaint. But nobody's complaining. Everybody I know that's on
nobody's watching. Exactly.
Yeah,
the government is not watching. The police is not watching.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a fuck about what's going on with DeFranco Elite. It's only becomes, yes, if enough people complain about it, enough people say, look, I demanded a refund because I was misled into it, and end up being, then that becomes a real issue. But otherwise, it's just a theoretical argument over whether or not, if there was a lawsuit like that, where would he stand? And if you look at every parcel, every single sentence he's ever said, to see whether or not he was truthful, whether or not he was trying to be cute.
Yeah.
Generally, courts don't appreciate that.
So this would be something decided by a court to begin with. We could just speculate all we want what the court would say, but who knows? But I want to make this clear. If he did change the nature of what DeFranco Elite was to go on, as you said, in any and all business ventures, that could be an FTC or some kind of crime. Are you saying that?
Yeah, probably a state level. I can see an attorney general going after something like that, because you raise money offering a service and you turned it around as a mechanism. There's some words you would use for something like that.
Okay.
But yes,
I've been wondering, because to be perfectly honest with you, I've been on this is the one issue that I had with DeFranco. I was surprised you answered so strongly, and we play this clip on this show as a goof because of this thing. I'll play it for you right now.
DeFranco Elite, a fan funding initiative through Patreon.
Yeah, it was a fan funding initiative. Well, I mean, he says a fan funding initiative through Patreon. Could that be any and all ventures?
Well, I mean, again, you have to look at what the page said. I mean, what they were describing it. What did you sell people on? And
at one point, he said it was a service to the people that were part of it, and it's bizarre. I mean, he said that clearly on the H3 podcast. He said that absolutely
trying to get their money back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's asking for their money back because Phil's so well liked. That I don't think
then there's no issue. There's never going to be anything. Nothing is going to be considered a crime if there's no damages.
Okay.
Right. So you can. I'm not claiming he stole, but you can steal money from people if nobody complains about it because they like you. It's not the courts don't care about that. If there's no damages, nobody cares.
Okay, gotcha. I do want to watch the rest of this video with you. Let's go back a bit. Here we go.
Part of our business model moving forward was that, we've done so much legwork to have direct connection to brands rather than working through other agencies.
Yes, but the true nature of your relationship with BetterHelp wasn't revealed until we exposed you. They didn't change their terms of service until we exposed them on October 4th as well. And it wasn't until we exposed all of you that they fired the counselor under rape allegations.
Yeah, this is true, but I mean, the fact that they fired a counselor under rape allegations, does this have anything to do with them doing something criminally?
No.
I mean, anybody
not
could
at all,
hire a
because-
wacko. I mean, it's cops that are rapists and murderers sometime. I didn't find this very relevant.
No, because generally in all these platforms, it's true that when they engage people that whose work is based on some sort of license, usually provided by the state or some sort of professional association, they rely on those associations for the licensure.
Yeah.
But what they claim, and I obviously I don't know the truth beyond it, that's what they did. They went to state licensing authorities or independent licensing authorities, and that's how they verified it. So if the state is not taking away your license to practice, you're asking them to do it. So no, you might expect these companies to do background check. Generally, they don't do background check. They're not obligated by law to do it, and as long as they don't tell you that they're doing background check beyond, checking for licenses, they're not liable for it.
Okay, so this is just sort of a guilt by association attempt. I know. Okay,
Yeah.
This could happen to any company. You could hire a guy that's a rapist.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get through the rest of the video.
So what if a new part of the company expanded what we're already doing with our existing sponsors and brought it to other fantastic YouTubers? For example, and I think this is something that started the whole snowball effect, we negotiated Shane Dawson's deal with and for him and his team. And that's why our company's name shows up when you go to Shane's link. It allows us to be able to provide him with daily conversion numbers, how many people are signing up.
You promoted his series knowing his affiliates would benefit yourself, and you did not let anyone know about it until now, violating FTC guidelines again.
I find that strange because, again, Rogue Rocket, his picture's on front of it.
Right.
So I don't know how I don't know what else he could do. And you stated before that he doesn't have to state it in his video as long as it's out. Is that correct?
Not at all. Not unless he's promoting Shane Dawson and telling the story of Shane and how he has to provide disclosure, not about everything that he does, but everything that impacts the video that he's doing. So to the extent to which he's doing a video and he's promoting BetterHelp, he needs to give a disclosure that he has some financial relationship with them.
Okay.
That's it. He doesn't have to get into the detail. Obviously, if he's an owner, that's on a different level.
Yeah.
He has to disclose his ownership stake. But he doesn't have to say, I brokered some relationship and I'm getting paid off of these other people.
He doesn't have to say that on his channel or anywhere else. I mean,
Not at
Jesus
all.
Christ,
Not at all.
his picture's on the top of the webpage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so bizarre.
Also, and this is because there's been a point of confusion, there have also been users like Boogie2988. He was unsure why my company name was in his referral URL. And the reason for that is instead of going to him and several other creators directly, which can take a lot of time, you don't want that agency to feel like you stepped on their toes because this whole business is all about relationship. And so we just went through an agency we already knew that he had been working with.
Which means you went behind creators' backs to provide links that in the end would benefit Rogue Rocket, undisclosed until now, another FTC violation.
Is that an FTC violation to do what he did?
No, not at all. None of that is correct. He went to an agency, sold his services to an agency, and they sold it in turn to their client. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's no reason to assume that. I mean, no.
Okay. I think all the YouTubers are basing they all got their legal degree when T. Martin and Pro Syndicate got in trouble with the FTC. I think that's what we're seeing here.
The only thing that's going to happen now is from now on, Philip DeFranco is going to be smarter, and rather than writing Rogue Rocket on them, his links are going to show 123 ZVB, something like that.
Okay, here we go.
Like we do with the creators we work with directly, we provide that agency all those numbers for him. And so part of our company here operates as a third-party ad agency, and they're providing a service for all of these people.
Again, you were funded for a news network that has yet to exist, not an ad agency.
And again, you think that's a problem if that's true.
It is if people complain and ask for their money back.
If people complain.
Yes.
Okay, I want to go over it. I might want to take a phone call.
That said, as far as what is next, what is upcoming? This morning, the founder of BetterHelp wrote a really long Medium post about everything that has transpired. In it, he addresses the terms and condition problem as well as other accusations that have been made. And as far as what is next for me, I currently have our team just scrubbing through accusations and complaints. And the reason for that is my goal is to try and get to the BetterHelp offices and speak with the team, as I mentioned, this week. And also on that note, if you have personally used BetterHelp, you had a bad experience, you have not been completely refunded, if you can provide any sort of evidence that what you're saying is accurate, I would love to bring those specific situations up to them. And so I'll include this email right here. In addition to everything else we're doing, my team and I will go through those as we prepare.
Why DeFranco Elite, DeFranco and his team are taking care of the PR if they are nothing more than an ad agency, as he states.
This week, but also
Do you want to comment on that?
Well, if again, I don't know, but if I'm an ad agency and they're paying me a lot of money, they're paying me X number of dollars, and I want to keep that relationship, so I'm going to do whatever I can to help them out because I want them to keep paying me. Doesn't mean that he necessarily is a partner here, but if they pay good money and generally they're happy with that, I want to help that out. So.
Okay, so there's
nothing else,
you don't see anything. You don't see anything unusual about this. By the way, the video is by Memeology 101, and it's called the DeFranco debacle. You're more than welcome to check it out. It's not 100% bad. I'm not dumping on Memeology. I mean, he's the one that got the ball rolling in the first place. But
right.
There are some. I think when he's accusing him of crimes, that's the things. Yes, I do understand. I can't check the DMs and read them online. I will pull you guys in. Do you have time to take calls? By any chance, you have to go. Sure. I want to run a little overtime. All right.
So now, because this BetterHelp situation is a priority, I'm going to try to get to their office this week.
Problem with the schedule because of BetterHelp. Why not stop the sponsorship? His relation with the company is still a matter of investigation. On a final note, if they are so transparent, why did they change the number of customers from 4 million to only 400,000?
That seems to be that's the end of that particular video, and I have one more question after this. What has to do with it has to do with their defamation. It is. I don't know. So it doesn't seem unusual to you that they're doing. It doesn't seem unusual for you that he's trying to save this particular account.
No,
he's trying to say, or she's trying to stick with it.
He wants to save his money stream.
Save money.
There's
nothing bizarre about that, in your opinion. And the 4 million to 400,000 that's why you. I don't know if I like that. I mean, it sounds like a lion, and they just got caught lying. Is there anything to?
Absolutely. Right. I mean, again, what happened here? I have no idea. So I would say that there's definitely issues of misleading advertisement here.
Mm-hmm.
Again. I can point that out in most businesses out there. I wouldn't turn that into a big deal, but no.
Keep in mind, we're discussing the law.
You want to hire them?
We're not discussing. You wouldn't recommend the service, would you? Because I wouldn't recommend the service. I just want to put that. I wouldn't recommend this either.
No, on the very fact alone that they define counselors as literally any person. Your drunk Uncle Joe that dropped out of kindergarten can be technically a counselor under the terms of service.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I definitely would not recommend it.
I wouldn't recommend this either. But as far as anything criminal, I just want to make this clear because everybody seems to think, I agree with you, this might fall under shady, but as far as criminal, and even you're saying they're not, unless like the FTC really has a hard on, or there's some kind of investigation that's already going on, nothing's going to happen to Phil DeFranco, BetterHelp, anything. All right.
I don't think there's anything there.
Here's I got a question about defamation. Shortly after Phil DeFranco's defense video, a very popular streamer, stream by the name of the Kill Stream, just out of sheer coincidence, released audio of somebody, a YouTuber that I know, that contacted a girl that said that DeFranco was cheating on his wife. I found the timing of this unbelievable because DeFranco's defense video has been very well received, and this guy appears to call this girl who's unnamed, although there is accusation who she is. She's unnamed. What I want to know, if this girl was recorded without a permission or off stream and wasn't told what this is about, is there defamation here? And the person who may have leaked this particular thing to the Kill Stream, are they under any kind of will they have any kind of problem with something like this? Let me play for you.
On a platform built by greed, Philip takes the fucking prize.
Let me get it.
Or $75.
Look at Agent Andy's face when he said that. He did a double take.
I want to get you the call directly.
Oh. Let's play it right now.
Exposing Philly D.
Exposing Philly D. Now that's Chad Anything for Views. And he says exposing Philly D, and then he calls somebody.
So, he's a fucking cunt.
Well, that's your, experience with mine.
What's your experience with him? What's he done besides have sex with you?
That's about it.
Whoa.
So why is he such a good guy? He just used you for sex.
So, I mean, he hasn't done anything mean. He wasn't like, oh my god, I hate you, or you're a bad person, or like...
But he used you.
Yeah, I mean, everybody does.
That's
not anything new.
Okay, well, at least you're, I don't know. I'm just mad at him at the moment.
All right, to make a long story short, somebody called this girl, and I don't know if this girl knew she was being recorded or not, and asked her if she was having sex with Phil DeFranco. Does Franco have any recourse on this, assuming it's not true?
Well, first of all, as far as the call, it would depend what state they're both in. If, let's say, if she's in Florida, right now, the guy that called her and recorded would be going to jail. It's a criminal offense.
Okay.
If in Florida, you require both parties to agree to it. If they're in New York, only one party, so he's allowed to record her in secret. So that depends on what state they're in, but could be a serious issue. Now, she's making a statement. If she knows it's being recorded and going to be published, then and she's lying, she could be sued for defamation. You know, because defamation is basically you stating a fact that hurts somebody's reputation or financial well-being. Not an opinion. You can call somebody a scumbag all day long.
Sure.
And you can call him a cheater. But if you're saying, something like, I slept with X, Y, and Z, that's a factual statement.
Okay. If she doesn't know she's being recorded, and let's say she's blowing smoke up this guy's ass, saying she slept with the big YouTuber, would she be liable then?
Generally not, because there's no real publication out there, right?
Okay.
I can tell you things, and if it's not being published to a third party, it's not really defamation. It requires publication. So she had what she thought was a private conversation, would not be recorded. Generally, she's not liable for it.
Okay.
Could DeFranco then sue the guy by saying, you took a private conversation that and then published it? He could. Is
the publisher, I guess, the Killstream, are they liable? Because I mean, if it was leaked to them, they're acting as a journalist. I don't think they're liable, right?
No, they would have to have knowledge that there's falsehood here. They which obviously they don't. They just think it's an interesting story to tell.
I got you.
So no.
Now, what if she's telling the truth? Would Phil DeFranco have any recourse then? I guess not.
No.
Okay.
No. Truth is an absolute defense in defamation cases. So
yeah. So she's
people
telling
sue all the time for these ridiculous cases.
Chad could be in some serious trouble. I think he made the recording in Australia, so I think he's fine. But Chad could be in some serious trouble. And he has stated on a prior stream that Phil DeFranco cheats on his wife. He said this in a prior stream before, which is, I actually picked this up, I think, in June. I let the story go because I was afraid to touch it. Because, Phil DeFranco can, you start calling this guy a scammer and a wife cheater. Yeah. I don't want anything to do if he sends a lawsuit to you. I mean, I want to go home and see my parents one day. If I can't just get sued in the States and not show up. That would ruin my life. And if anybody thinks that they get away with it just because they're in the UK or the Australia, ask Sargon of Akkad about that. Right. He never set foot in the United States, and he got before he got sued, as far as I know.
Absolutely, it's not even an issue whether or not you would win the lawsuit.
Yeah,
that people that you call, you have to be very careful what you're calling. When you're calling businesses scams, when you're telling people that they're cheaters, it can have such an impact on them, and it can harm their reputation. So even though it's not legally defamation, many lawsuits get started by people that can afford the lawsuits to shut you up, and they generally win. They win just by shutting you down, and you settle and you go away because you cannot afford to go through the next 2 to 3 years of your life defending yourself.
Gotcha.
So it's so you have to be careful who you're calling names, because in today's world, lawsuits are by people that can afford it are relatively cheap.
Yeah. Oh, okay. For people who can afford it. Okay, let me give you some some questions that haven't already been answered. Should YouTubers who promoted BetterHelp have anything to worry about legally? Just rapid fire, yes or no?
No, not unless they've been lying about their story, about their connection, about using it. They don't have to worry about it.
And will affiliate D suffer legal consequences? We already answered that. DeFranco's sponsorship of BetterHelp claimed that the counselors are accredited. Are they actually, and by what organization? Are you aware of that?
I'm aware of that, but again, he's just an advertiser. So if they lied to him, he's not liable for that.
He's not liable either way. Well, let's see. How could BetterHelp themselves suffer legally from the? That doesn't make any sense. How involved is DeFranco's company? We already went over that. We don't know, and if they're a partner, that's an issue. That's what Lior said. Are there different types of contract involved, whether YouTubers promote BetterHelp? When they back out, do they suffer any kind of legal ramifications for breaking the deal? In other words, if I'm a YouTuber and this is going on, I want out of this deal, even if it's been working for me, even if it's been working for my band. I don't want to put BetterHelp anywhere near my videos or streams. Can you back out without legal ramification, or do you have to continue to advertise it?
No, I've never seen one of those agreements where you cannot back out. It's optional. It's you promote and you get paid. If somebody clicks, you get paid a little more. If somebody buys, you get paid more. So it's all dependent on how much you put forth. If you don't advertise, you're still under contract. It's not a violation of the contract for you not to stop promoting them.
Does BetterHelp need a HIPAA, HIPAA complaint to follow any specific data? I don't even know what that is, a HIPAA complaint.
They need to be HIPAA compliant, yes, because they built a system where personally identifiable medical information, including mental health, is being transacted. So yes, their servers would have to be HIPAA compliant, generally from Amazon, and their data retention and privacy policies would have to be in compliance. Yes.
Okay, yes. I'm sorry.
So yes, but the big rule is on the counselors and what they actually do with the data. The BetterHelp is basically a tool for them. So no counselor would ever want to work with BetterHelp unless they can assure them that they are legally compliant.
Okay, gotcha. Does BetterHelp
because the liability is on the counselor, not
liability is on the counselor, not on BetterHelp. Okay. Yeah. Does BetterHelp recording of conversations break any client confidentiality rules? I doubt it because, geez, most when you go into a queue, when you're calling for something, they always tell you might be recorded. Does that break any kind of confidentiality rules in the United States?
It all depends. Again, it's not the recording is not. It's what happens to it and whether or not who has access to it. Is this something recorded and only the counselor can access, or can BetterHelp people actually listen to it? That's where they come. The information is. Especially notes taken during psychotherapy and any of these kind of stuff is highly, highly protected.
Okay.
So they would have had to have set up a system if there is a recording. I don't know that the recording is there, but the only people that can access it is the counselors, and they don't have any access to it. So it depends how they've set it up.
Gotcha. And is there any chance of a class action lawsuit in your opinion?
No.
No. Okay.
I don't see a class of people being damaged by it.
I'll ask you. If we talked before about going into waiting to call or on air. You want to do that now, or do you have to? Do you have enough time?
I mean, I can do it for like 15, 20 minutes.
You got it. No, it's more than I wanted, so that's fine with me. So let's go in there. I'm gonna take, and we're gonna take some of your calls. So if you want to jump in, you have a question, the link is in the description box below. You can ask Lior or Lesser. I think we learned a lot today. Lior, going to wait in the call, and I will drag you up. Come on, buddy. We drilled this before. All you have to do is go in one of those rooms. There he is. Okay, we're in. Can you hear me, Lior? Hello, sir. No, we had you. Hello, Lior. How are you? Okay, you're back. Hello? We had you. Don't. Whatever you did before, do it again. Check. Oh, man. I got to make sure he's not. Yeah, Lior, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? I think I know what's wrong. Don't. Hey, Lior, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay,
yes,
here we go.
I can hear you.
All right, here we go. We're back up. I'm going to, first one from when I go. Zanta, make it quick, though, bud.
One of the things with the Patreon page, there are specifics where it just says it's a news network. It doesn't disclose anything about an ad agency.
Okay.
I sent it to your DMs and you
gotcha.
exposed them.
So, I mean, Lior has made it clear that if he can't use these funds, but it does depend on complaints for anything he sees fit or another company. He's made that abundantly clear. DeFranco could be in the wrong here, but people have to complain. All right? Anything more?
Exactly.
No, that's it. I just wanted to let you know.
Gotcha. Hold on a second. Colossal's crazy. I'm sure he's trying to get Colossal. Do you have a question for Mr. Lesser? And Colossal isn't ready. Shocking. We'll get to Colossal last. We'll make sure he got his stuff together. Go. In fact, I'll put him in. Go check your mic. Staff. Colossal. I'm putting Colossal in. Go check your mic. Touch base and then put him back in a waiting to call. Jim Rat. Go ahead.
Hey. All right. Trying to turn the stream off. God damn it. Okay, so I had a question for you, Tommy.
I don't know why you're asking me. We got a legal. We got a Stanford graduate in law. Why are you asking me anything?
I had a list of questions, and y'all literally went and answered all.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So do you think this is going to turn into something worse than the Patreon thing? Do you think if this escalates, it's going to be all over drama alert for weeks on weeks on weeks again, like it was last time? Do you think it's going to escalate to get even worse?
It's possible. In my opinion, okay, this is kind of it's possible because, as you've seen with me personally, the truth really doesn't matter. It matters how many subs and how big your fans are. Anybody can say anything about you, and if you have no legal recourse, like I did, like I can't feed my family, or I'm begging for money online, obviously or I lie, tinfoil Tommy. I have no legal recourse because I don't have the money. But the thing is, where I'm thinking no, unless Keem and Scarce and everybody is just completely insane. DeFranco does have that recourse, especially when it comes to his cheating wife. So I'm guessing this might be the flavor of the week, but I don't know for sure because I haven't seen that many people act that crazy.
I've got no part in that. Absolutely no.
No, nobody said you did, Clown. Nobody said you did. I'm just answering a question, and I don't even know how you're here because I didn't even pull you in. All right. All right, Jim Rat. I'm gonna get to Clown. Clown, do you have a question? Do you have a question for Lior? Thanks for the call.
No, I don't have a question for him. Just in case he got the impression that Tommy and I hate each other. We don't fucking hate each other.
We don't hate. No, we're just arguing
all the time. But you keep doing you. I kind of lost most of the conversation, but because I was kind of arguing with your chat.
I noticed that. Why didn't you should have watched?
I'll be frank, half your fucking chat completely brain dead. I'm just gonna say that now.
No, you know how to make fans, Clown.
I don't care from the legal side of things. It just doesn't interest me at all. I don't care. I'm looking at this from a shady perspective. Who's shady, what's happening, what's shady, and that's it.
Well, I wouldn't recommend this shit for anybody. It's certainly. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, I wouldn't have anything to do with this particular product.
Interesting. It's an interesting topic, so that's why we've been covering it, been looking into it, and I think this company. Do I call it a scam? Look, I meant scam in the terms of
you meant it don't play the lottery. It's a scam.
I hate this that you could get called out for a fucking word. I hate that the word.
Yeah, but the problem was with our little debate. The problem is you responded to Lior's video.
Scam, that's so ridiculous.
Yeah, but the problem is you responded to a legal conversation.
So what? I can't call it a scam now.
I look. It's awful tough to understand where you're. Look, I post a video saying this is legal analysis, and you come in and refute my post, which really wasn't my content. It was Lior's here, and with stuff, and I'm like, I would assume if you're going to enter a legal statement and we get in a debate, then it becomes a legal debate. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can pull back and say, "Oh, look, I didn't mean it literally."
Yeah, I didn't know I was entering into a fucking criminal.
Read the tweet. That's not my fucking fault.
No, it came after the fucking question. It came after the question.
Yeah.
How easy was it to misinterpret that as this is a scam or not? Fucking easy.
I suppose, but like I said, we were trying to. I was trying to get to the bottom if they were breaking the law, and that's what I said on Sunday. Hold off. Let's see if it's a scam.
I didn't watch this Sunday show. Tommy.
Well, that's not my problem either. Read the tweets. Watch my shows. I'm great. All right, let me get to the other.
I normally watch your shows. I think it was titled something else. Your show.
Yeah, it was. We just touched on it. Everybody else was going clown. I was afraid to call this a scam because this isn't some jackass 100K YouTuber. This is Phil DeFranco. Yeah. It's a big difference.
Oh, I don't give a fuck about Philip DeFranco. What he's done is fucking shady, and I think that you can call that shady. 100%.
Fair enough. I think I think you can come to that conclusion too. I wouldn't recommend this shit for anybody.
The terminology, going on a word scam, it's so ridiculous. In the UK, it doesn't even mean that.
I think if we were having is this don't play the lottery, don't play McDonald's Monopoly. That's just a big scam. That's a far cry from here's a legal analysis and then you call it a scam. I think you mean that literally, and I think it's easy to decide that you meant that literally.
What? That
I did because of the first tweet. I think it was really easy to come to the conclusion you made. I totally believe you that you didn't mean it literally. I totally believe you. You know?
Yeah, I'm not fucking lying. I'm not a liar.
No, I didn't think you're lying. I didn't call you a liar. I didn't think you're a debating fan.
That's what I'm saying. If the whole conversation, the whole topic was set up to discuss the criminalities of things, I had no fucking
That's really what it was, and that's where the confusion was.
I thought it was, the question was, is this a scam or not? I read that literally as it was read.
Well,
And then
also the legal analysis.
the
Look,
video
Clown,
was
I got it. I only have Lior here for another 5 minutes. I want to get some callers in there. All right.
Oh yeah, have fun.
It's just a misunderstanding. I get that. I didn't think you were lying. I don't think anybody called you a liar.
Yeah,
either.
probably comes down to a misunderstanding.
Yeah. Okay, buddy. Talk to you later.
Fuck it.
Take bye. Colossal's crazy, everybody. The great Colossal is great, and he is a fantastic YouTuber, by the way. If you want to check out his work, he's one of the best in the world.
I've seen his content.
No
It's very
exaggeration. Bill Gates, you there? No, you're gone. Mormon guy, he's intelligent.
Hey,
God, I hope so.
I'm here.
Mormon guy, you're on the air.
Hey, so one of the questions I had about the Patreon, if it's DeFranco basically stating that you're funding his LLC, does it really matter if he has a side business that also includes ad agency?
Ask
it all depends really what else is being said there. That's the problem here. A court would basically look at every single thing. The fact that it's going into the LLC in and of itself would not mean much, but if he's telling you that this LLC is going to use it in a specific way, it does. I mean, that's what companies do all the time. They raise money for specific projects. So, and if they take people's money, investors' money, and they use it for something completely different, that's a violation of the law because they signed agreements based on which they raise their money. Same thing here. So it is an issue if he's telling people he's using it for one purpose, but using it for another.
Lost you.
But if nobody's complaining, that effectively is okay. We're okay with it.
You got a bitch.
Because
basically,
well, my whole thing it's just been you're donating to his company. That's what I've understood from the beginning. It's
that's really what it is.
You are donating.
Really
you're not an investor. You're just donating for him to do the film DeFranco. Yeah.
Then that's perfectly fine. Then if you're not getting what you think you should get, that's your problem. Yes. If
I mean, that's my business model. Donate to my company. Donate to Shop for the Point. You know, I mean, that's really my business model too. There's nothing legal about it. All right, Mormon guy.
The last thing I want to ask too. So I mean, if he takes a salary from his Patreon, that's not illegal either. So I don't know why it would be illegal for him to take his salary money and then put it into a side business. I mean, it's just laundering money at that point.
Well, it's definitely not laundering money, but if he
right,
so he would not be taking money from. I mean, he would not be getting his salary from Patreon. He would move it into the LLC. The LLC would be paying him a salary plus some distribution and stuff like that. So it would not be directly from Patreon because nobody gets paid. Patreon is not an organization that you would take. So I mean, it's nothing is wrong with it unless people complain because they gave money and that's not
turn
what
in
they
something
gave
else.
it for.
All right, Mormon guy, I got to get to the last guy. His name's Slav. Thanks so much for calling. Slav, you're on the air. You're the last guy.
Hey, how you doing?
You better go to wait and call if you want to find a call because Lior's got to go. He's been really kind. Slav, go ahead.
So you guys kind of answered part of my question in that last call, but I just wanted to kind of clear up the fact that, again, that Patreon obviously is used as donations, but also that I wanted to question, obviously people have to complain for there to be legal actions, but as far as I know, DeFranco is his own entity. The DeFranco show is its own entity, which is owned by Discovery, not even by DeFranco anymore. And the DeFranco Elite is an initiative based on the community coming together. As far as I know, it's not even legally a company. It's just a community. So with all those facts coming in and the fact that, yes, it literally states that DeFranco is going to use this money as space, podcasts. He doesn't even say straight out that it's for the news show. He says it's for himself. Really, even if they wanted to, is there even option for legal action against him?
I can answer that at this point. If nobody complains, then there's not a problem.
Well, even if you complained with those facts, can they even complain?
I don't know. It depends if you got your facts right. If your facts are that he could do it like that, I suppose. But I mean, I think the fact is he said it was it was for a news network, and it has not materialized in a way that I would have thought it would have. But Lior,
I'm in agreement here because the thing is that the fact that he would set up, let's say, more of a convoluted kind of business relationship with multiple subsidiaries and all of that, that's just good business, okay? They're trying to isolate liability of any one particular transaction. It would not remove his own liability for being the speaking voice, for promoting it. So to the extent to which he's promoting this particular crowdfunding initiative and is potentially lying about it, he'd still be personally liable, even though the money doesn't go directly to him but goes to another organization or whatever. So yes, you want to isolate the money, but you can still be sued for your own personal action.
No, of course, yeah. I just wanted to ask that because I'm going to school for business law at the moment, and he is doing it in such a way that, you know, they are separate entities. I mean, they're listed under different LLCs and corporations. And as a Patreon, there are words in there that kind of like you could question, but he also negates some of them by claiming Philip DeFranco is creating a news and entertainment network, not his company himself.
Right. So if I were to do it, if I wanted, I would say that I would set up an LLC just to take the Patreon money, and that in that way, any liability would not risk, you know, the other company would not risk the YouTube channel or his advertising. Won't you risk anything else? He may be personally liable as well because of his direct thing, but this way you isolate the liability within that one company that's collecting.
Okay. All right, Saif, thanks so much. I got to end it right now, man. Thanks for the call. Good luck at school, by the way, man. Thanks for the call, man.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, I think that's it. If you want to donate to my Patreon, feel free. It goes right to me, and there's no bad. And there's one perk. You can talk to me in the Patreon chat and Discord. That's it. Feel free to donate any way you see fit. Lior, thank you so much for coming on. I'd like to do this regularly, like every month or two. Is that possible, you think?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna because
as long as you give me a schedule ahead of time that I know what days or whatever's going on, I will schedule that.
I'm gonna work with my news team, and I'd love to have, because there's always something going on. And I also this is pretty serious. And my whole goal, because I knew this was getting witch hunt, I knew this was getting crazy. My whole goal was not to say Phil DeFranco's an angel and BetterHelp's an angel, and all the people that are criticizing him aren't, or vice versa. That I just wanted to get some common sense, because when people hear the word scam, they hear the word fraud, they think of the police. And I just wanted to make it clear what the reality of the situation was. And what we learned is there's problems on both ends. There's problems from the criticizers not knowing their facts, and there's problems with BetterHelp and Phil DeFranco. I think that's fair. You know,
I think so.
All right, let's end it. Let's play the outro music and get the hell out of here. And then I'm going to thank you privately. Make sure you stay on the line, because I want to thank you privately. Thank you for being a part of a very special Shot from the Point. I hope it cleared things up for you. I hope we got it straight, because you know what? Bottom line is, I always get it right in the end, baby. Peace.
This is the almighty infinite, independent excellence, devil fighting, rebel titan, weed smoking alchemist, fake identities. Okay, you cool with Jason Bourne, running with these Wolverines. Okay, you about to catch a storm. I ain't never been a liar, got tired of niggas playing me. Head in my legs like she about to catch a pedigree. Chi-town to King's home, slapping fives, black stones, 6 mile to danger zones, bullets looking waffle cone. Folk affiliated to evolution of Machiavelli. Don't make me lead them eagles to you like I'm Chip Kelly. They feel my struggle, I express it through my hip hop. I'm about to make it hard to breathe. Here's a headline.